Conventional wisdom says that your love life will change when you meet the one. The relationship should feel smooth and easy. And I'm here to tell you that love is a big waste of time if you keep believing such blasphemies. Because it's exactly thoughts like these that fuck up your relationships in the first place. Or at least, that's what I learned from this book anyway. But it's not really our fault, is it? Nobody sits us down and teaches us how to love. Personally, I've always been very interested in the science of relationships, hence I eventually had to pick up The Entries of Love by Jay Shetty. Jay Shetty, as you might have heard, was once a monk for 3 years, and he eventually became a life coach followed by over 50 million people across social media. And he is now a New York Times best-selling author for his book starting from Think Like a Monk to now the book we're gonna cover today. A book entirely dedicated to answering the following question. How do you actually find love? How do you find peace within yourself? And most importantly, how do you actually experience true love? Let's get into it. Rule number 1. Let yourself be alone. To be honest, when I first picked up this book, I kind of wanted to throw it off because what the hell is this rule? Isn't this book supposed to teach me how to love? Why is the very first rule preaching me to be alone? But me even thinking that was exactly why I needed this rule in the first place. If you type online, when will I find love is literally second place in most popular searches. The fear of ending up alone is so ingrained in most, if not all of us. If you don't like yourself, many of your dreams, goals, and passions are directly correlated to the fear of not dying alone, or at least to the fear of not being able to spread your seeds. But Jane makes a good point on how solitude is the foundation on which we build love. This chapter is the most boring of all, but I have to admit, this is the most important chapter of all. Because the author encourages us to spend time carefully analyzing ourselves, to spend intentional time with yourself, to know your own values by observing your daily choices. Jane encourages us to ask these questions. What do you tend to spend money on? What tiny habits do you get into? What personalities or people do you usually spend time with? When was the last time you got angry or emotional at something? And why do they evoke such emotion from you? Basically, how do you expect to understand others if you can't even understand yourself? Want to go on a journey with someone, not make them your journey. They are your partner, not your better half. There's another quote in this book that I really fucking like. The very process of learning to understand and love yourself helps you understand the effort required to love someone else. Basically, you train to love your own weaknesses because when you do get a partner, you learn to love all their beauty and their imperfections simply because you know deep down that you are not perfect. Therefore, you stop expecting perfection from your partner. Rule number 2. Don't ignore your karma. As someone who came from a monkish background, many concepts of this book were directly inspired by the oldest Hindu scriptures called the Vedas. They were written on palm leaves 5,000 years ago in Sanskrit. And apparently these scriptures talk about love in the ways that we cannot even fathom. However, I still like to take a minute to explain what karma actually means because so many people get it wrong. Because most people think that when you do bad shit will follow. But that's simply not the case, and Jane makes it very clear in the book. It's the law of cause and effect. If we make a choice or take action with or without proper understanding, we'll receive a reaction based on that choice. Now, how does that apply in relationships? This book, Jay highlights the importance of minding your own karma as it enables you to use your past experiences to make the best choices now for your relationships. Everything you learn from your childhood, your friends, your parents, movies, media, social media, everything, whatever, I think plays such an integral role on your ability to make choices. I was 7 years old when I realized that love was a big waste of time after I saw my parents arguing to the point of violence. Imagine a 7-year-old child seeing the woman that he loves the most getting hit to the ground, powerless. It broke my soul apart. After that, I kind of went on a path of becoming a bully at school. It was a way for me to show my power and frustration onto those weak kids at school when I couldn't show any at home. That came from the cycle of karma that I have inherited from my father, and probably from his father before him. This is the karmic cycle. The karmic cycle explains how we are meant to learn from our choices and strive to make better choices. Do you consciously or even unconsciously allow your past mistakes to dictate your own choices, to dictate your life, to dictate your relationships? Basically, there are 2 types of outcomes. You made a decision. You like the outcome. Therefore, you keep the cycle of karma going. For example, me as a child, I liked the fact that I was a bully at school. Yeah, when I was 12, I loved being bullied. I loved being able to show my power. Therefore, I just kept the karma going. The karma of violence. And outcome number 2, you make a decision, but you end up not liking the outcome. And therefore, you are trying to break that cycle. At 18 years old, I realized that I just no longer wanted to be this violent. It just wasn't doing me any good. Therefore, I worked hard to break that cycle of violence. Therefore, the goal of this rule is to purify your karma. Basically, the gist of the chapter is, do you consciously or unconsciously allow mistakes of the past getting repeated onto your relationships? Rule number 4. Your partner is your guru. Love does not consist of gazing at each other, but in looking together in the same direction. I think this quote perfectly represents this entire rule. True story. Last week I had a fight with my girl. She found that I don't spend enough time with her, that she feels like she was competing with my work. Now those are, shall I admit, very valid. But what does that teach me about me? What is she actually complaining about down to the root of it? It could be because she's trying to tell me subconsciously that I suck at time management. Or maybe she's trying to say that I should chill out with work and spend more time having fun. Or maybe she's trying to subconsciously teach me that I should organize my schedule better. The thing is, I don't even think she realizes that she's teaching me, but she is. Your partner is, as someone that spent a lot of time with you, knows a shit ton about you. As such, your partner is your best teacher for life, whether they themselves realize it or not. Final rule, love again and again. The river that flows in you also flows in me. You see, there are many discussions and debates about what's the highest form of love. The book answers this question by solving this next question. How do you find and experience true love? And ultimately, the solution is very simple. Number 1, strive to become a better person, therefore apply the previous rules. But most importantly, number 2, we have to look beyond the self and shift to how we can serve others. You experience true love by giving love to others. Love means noticing that everyone is worthy of love and treating them with the exact same respect and dignity, just like any living beings would deserve. When you connect yourself to the world, you realize that you are one with the whole. When we serve others, we serve ourselves. Deep shit if you ask me. God damn. To be honest, this part is actually pretty complicated. That's why I've made a step-by-step video on how to love, inspired by the symbol of Ramais himself. If you click on the video somewhere. On that one, guys, that's all I had to share. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.